Good afternoon, students.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. So, in last lecture, we have started discussion on nuclear physics, and we have seen nuclear fission and chain reaction up to this time. Okay. Today, we are going to talk about again some portion of chain reaction and productive application of nuclear fission chain reaction. Okay. So that will be the portion for today's lecture. So just a second, I will share the screen. So I think this was the last slide that we have seen in last lecture. Basically, what nuclear fission is, after capturing external neutron, basically the elements like uranium, plutonium, which are having heavier nuclei, they split up into several parts. Okay, so one example that we have seen is the nuclear fission of uranium-235. So one neutron, after having interaction with uranium-235, basically we have seen there is generation of barium, krypton and 3 neutrons. Okay, so that nuclear fission reaction we have seen. Now in every nuclear fission reaction, there is generation of 2 to 3 neutrons. Okay, so that also we have seen, and along with that neutrons there is some amount of energy. So that energy will be in the range of mega electron volt. So how that energy is created? For that we have seen the mass defect is observed in nuclear fission reaction. Before and after fission reaction, whatever is the difference in mass, that mass is getting converted into energy, and how that conversion is there, that we can get to know with the help of Einstein's equation E is equal to mc square, that we have seen. Now in each fission reaction, as there is generation of 3 neutrons, that 3 neutrons are capable to have nuclear fission of another 3 uranium nuclei. Okay, so if that happens in actual, then what will happen? Again, due to each nuclear fission, there will be generation of 333. In total 9 electrons will get generated by that fusion process. So like this will go on, generation of neutrons and nuclear fission of uranium nuclei will be a continuous process, and that kind of continuous process are basically involved in case of nuclear weapons or nuclear bombs. Now in order, and based upon that, I think we have seen this particular slide. Based upon this observation, like chain reaction are divided into 2 types. One is known as uncontrolled chain reaction, another one is known as controlled chain reaction. So atomic bomb or nuclear bomb, they are having the uncontrolled chain reaction, whereas we are going to talk about controlled chain reaction, which is used for some constructive applications. So I think this is the portion that we have seen in the last lecture. If you are having any doubt up to this, of course in last lecture at the end we have discussed some points, but even though you are having some queries in your mind, you can ask. We will invest 2 to 3 minutes in that, and then we will have the further discussion. Okay, so if you are having any query, unmute yourself or put your query in the chat box. If no queries are there, at least mention no in the chat box. Yes, any query? Okay, so today we have to understand how to control the chain reaction. Okay, so controlling of chain reaction is the important thing, and for controlling of the chain reaction, generally control rods are used. Control rods are the rods of some material which are having capability to absorb the neutrons generated in the fission process. Okay, So simple is the case. So control rods are basically, they are also known as the absorber rods, and absorber rods basically they made up of materials like boron or cadmium. Okay, so boron and cadmium, they are having ability to absorb the neutrons generated into the nuclear fission reaction, and due to that absorption, what will happen, there will not be any leftover neutrons which will occur the nuclear fission of another nuclei. Okay, so by absorbing the neutrons in deep nuclear fission process, one can control the chain reaction, and basically that particular thing is used when we want to create a nuclear energy in a real time. Okay, so how that thing happens, so that you can get with through this animation. So control rods, here whatever vertical strips you can see, fented vertical strips, they are nothing but say control rods. Okay, and this combination, these circular shapes, consider that as a uranium nuclei, and here you can see at the corner there is one neutron. So suppose this neutron is interacting with this uranium nuclei, so what will happen when this neutron will interact with this uranium nuclei? What will happen? Yes, are you getting my voice?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. So what will happen when this neutron will interact with uranium nuclei?
Nuclear fission. Nuclear fission.
Yes, nuclear fission will be there, and as we know, how is the output of nuclear fission? There will be two lighter nuclei and neutrons in that case. Okay, so this interaction splitting into two lighter nuclei, and then some neutrons get generated. That neutrons are capable to have nuclear fission of another uranium nuclei, and that you can see, that process you can see over here. Okay, but here you can observe one difference, like, just a second, see here two neutrons are generated, so one neutron is absorbed by this particular control rod. Okay, so like this same you can observe again, two neutrons generated, one is absorbed by this control rod, one is only passed over the further region to have the nuclear fission of another nuclei. Okay, so like this, by inserting such kind of rods, one can absorb the fast moving neutrons which are generated in the nuclear fission reaction, and that's why there will be overall control over the reaction. Okay, so as there is a facility to control the neutrons generated in the process, so of course we need to see how will be the situation of neutrons in any nuclear fission chain reaction. Okay, like what we have seen in nuclear fission reaction, continuously there is generation of neutrons, but with the help of say control rods, you can control the amount of neutrons. So if the entire neutrons generated in the nuclear fission, they are absorbed by the control rod, what will happen? Whatever are the neutrons generated in particular fission reaction, if all the neutrons absorbed by the control rods, what will happen? Yes, this is a question for you people. In a chain reaction, whatever neutrons are generated, if they are absorbed by control rods, what will happen? The reaction will get stopped. Yes, one answer I have received in the chat box. No further chain. The reaction will get stopped. Yes. what will happen? There will not be any nuclear fission further. Okay, reaction will stop at that particular moment. So like this, we need to see, while working on the nuclear reaction, nuclear fission chain reaction, you need to see what is the status of neutrons at particular time. Okay, at a particular time, how much amount of neutrons are there. As they are deciding the nuclear chain reaction, we need to see what is their status, and that status one can calculate with the help of a factor known as multiplication factor. Okay, which gives you the general condition related to the chain reaction. That multiplication factor is denoted with the letter Kc, capital K, and in subscript C is written. Okay, so in order to calculate multiplication factor, there is one formula. I suggest note down this particular formula. So that formula says Kc is equal to number of neutrons in one generation. Say, suppose we are talking about this moment. So at this particular moment, how much amount of neutrons are there in particular chain reaction, that one has to calculate, divided by number of neutrons in the previous generation. Okay, so how much amount of neutrons are present at this particular moment, and how many neutrons were there in the previous reaction. By having that two values, one can see what is the condition of chain reaction, or one can calculate the Kc factor, multiplication factor. Now, depending upon this particular formula, three conditions are possible. Okay, what are the three conditions? Say, number of neutrons in one generation are more as compared to previous generation. Then what will be the case? How will be the Kc? Number of neutrons in the present generation are more as compared to previous generation. Say, in this particular reaction, there is no any absorption of neutrons. That's why more number of neutrons are present in this particular generation, and in previous chain reaction, previous reaction, there is absorption of neutrons. Say 2 neutrons are absorbed, so only 1 neutron was there in the previous reaction. Now at the present case, 3 neutrons are generated due to the nuclear fission reaction. Then how will be the factor? How will be the Kc? That Kc will be greater than 1. As Pawan has mentioned in the chat box, Kc will be greater than 1. So here you can see, if the Kc is greater than 1, then what will happen? The chain reaction will go to an explosive rate. If this is the case, of course, as more number of neutrons are present in that generation, that will cause a high amount of nuclear fission, and probably that chain reaction will go to the explosive rate. Okay, so that is one condition. If Kc is greater than 1, then there are chances to have this particular reaction. Now suppose if the number of neutrons in this generation is equal to number of neutrons in the previous generation, then what will be the factor? What will be the value of Kc?
It will be 1.
It will be 1. Say 3 divided by 3, that will be 1, or 2 divided by 2, that will be 1. If Kc factor is equal to 1, ma'am, in nuclear weapons the Kc will be greater than, of course, whatever are the nuclear weapons, in that the third condition will be there. Always Kc will be greater than 1. Okay. So if the case is like that, number of neutrons in particular generation and previous generation to that are equal, then in that case you can observe there will be a steady state. There will not be any explosive rate, or there will not be chances to have the breakage of the reaction. The reaction will go in a continuation state or in a steady state. Okay, so basically that kind of observations can be seen in case of nuclear reactors. Okay, even in nuclear reactors, at some moment you can observe the Kc factor is greater than 1, but after that, of course, you need to have the second condition or the first condition. Okay, So these two conditions we have seen, Kc is equal to 1 and Kc is greater than 1. Now the remaining condition is number of neutrons in the present generation are less as compared to the previous generation. Then in that case, of course, the Kc factor will be less than 1, and in that case, as you people have mentioned, there will be a slowdown in the reaction, or at one moment the reaction will stop. There will not be any further nuclear fission reaction. Okay, so if you want to have control, or if in nuclear reactors, if the user want to stop the chain reaction, then that user has to see the Kc factor should be less than 1. Okay, so with these three conditions, one can determine the condition of any nuclear fission chain reaction. Okay, so how all that things happens in actual, to understand that we need to see the nuclear reactor. So nuclear reactors are the one, we can say the nuclear reactors are the devices in which this nuclear energy is generated, or nuclear fission is used for some constructive applications. Okay, so nuclear reactors are nothing but devices or apparatus in which a nuclear fission is produced under a self-sustained controlled nuclear chain reaction. Okay, so basically in nuclear reactor, what will be there? There will be a nuclear chain reaction, but that nuclear chain reaction will be a controlled reaction. Okay, so of course we need to use control rods for that purpose. Now, what is the basic aim to use the nuclear reactor? In nuclear reactor, nuclear energy is generated, and that energy is basically used further to have the electricity through it. Okay, so electricity generation is the main purpose to use the nuclear reactors. Okay, so in nuclear reactors, of course, one need to use some fuel for the generation of energy, and basically these are the components which are used as the fuel in any nuclear reactor, that are nothing but uranium-235, uranium-238 or plutonium-239. So these elements can be used as the fuels for the nuclear reactors, which undergoes the nuclear chain reaction, nuclear fission chain reaction, and that produces the energy. We have seen how the energy is generated in case of nuclear reactors. Okay, then to understand the working and principle of nuclear reactor, of course there are certain components that we have to understand. So basically whatever are the nuclear reactors, they are having particular components. That components are reactor core, then reactor reflector, reactor moderator, reactor coolant, reactor controlled material, and then reactor shielding. Okay, so these are the components. Note down these components in your notebook, how that component looks, and what is the main purpose to use these components, that we are going to see on the next slide. Okay, so just note down these words. In nuclear reactor, the components that are used are, ma'am, these components are made by which material? Abhishek is asking that question. Of course, Abhishek, we are going to discuss all that things, but at this moment just note down the words: core, reflector, moderator, coolant, control material, and shielding. Okay, so hope you people have written these words for your reference. Now of course we need to see what are that materials and from which they are generated. Okay, so on the slide now you can see the basic building block diagram related to the nuclear reactor. So if possible, take a screenshot, and when you will get time, try to draw this particular structure. Okay, so this is the structure which is used in case of nuclear reactors. Okay, and of course we are going to do one activity on the next slide. So before going towards that activity, try to capture all the words which are written on the slide. Whatever are the words, where that words are written, try to fit all that words in your mind. Okay, so hope you have done that thing also. So I'll go to the next slide. Okay. Okay. So same figure you can see over here, but here the nomenclature is not there. So empty boxes are provided, and you have two palladium, I think so. Palladium for what you are saying, Akib? See, different components are made up of different materials. So whatever Akib has mentioned for nuclear blast, okay, any radioactive element you can use as the fuel, basically whatever are the fuels that I have mentioned. Okay, so now you have to label the names to the devices, to the components which are there in the nuclear reactor. So for that I need your help. So suggest me where I should put the fuel pins. First box is control rods. This one, Amit, you are saying the first box is control rods.
From left.
Okay, from left, this one.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Next to that, this one.
Ma'am, steel vessel.
Here.
Steel
Vessel.
vessels.
Okay. Steel vessel. Okay. Pawan was saying control rod, second box, but first box control rods, that as mentioned by Amit. So which one is correct? This one or this one?
Control rod, ma'am.
This one is the control rods. Agreed to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
The second one is steel vessel. What about third?
Moderator and fuel.
See, wherever I have, if you
No.
can't see the pointer,
Moderator.
okay, I'll take the pointer because I think you people can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so this one is the moderator. Okay, I'll put the moderator over here. What about this?
Fuel pin.
Kudus is saying the whatever he right corner control shield. This one is the control shield. Okay.
And
What
last
about
box.
this one? What about this one? See, this one.
And downside pump will be there.
Last one, this one. Okay, so pump. Tell me about
Ma'am,
this one.
fuel. Ma'am, fuel pins.
These are the fuel pins. Okay. Okay. Remaining two. Only two options are remaining. I think water to turbines and water from turbines. So which one is the water to turbine and water from turbines?
Ma'am,
And downside
above.
water to turbine.
Lower is water from turbine. This one is water from
Yes.
turbine, said by Farhan. Okay, and this, of course, the remaining one,
Water to
water to
turbine.
turbines.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll check the answer, and yes, of course, you people are right. So whatever nomenclature you have given, that is absolutely correct. Okay, so as you can see, this is the construction diagram. So every nuclear reactor, of course, it is having some basic components. That basic components are whatever are the fuel pins. Basically, fuel is required to have the working of any nuclear reactor. So basically, that fuel pins you can observe at this particular place. And as have mentioned that uranium or plutonium, these are the materials which can be used as the fuel pins. Now in between the fuel pins, control rods are inserted, and of course there is a facility that you can remove the control rods, and whenever it is required you can insert the control rods in between the fuel pins. Okay, so that arrangement is there. So control rods you can see in between the these fuel pins. Fuel pins are denoted with the help of some red colored strips, and control rods are mentioned with these black colored linings. Okay, so here you can see. So whatever is the nuclear fission in this particular case, where that nuclear fission will happen, that will be inside the steel vessel. Okay, now along with uranium or any plutonium or any radioactive element related pins and control rods, here in this particular area there are some other components. What are that components? That components are moderator and coolant material. So what are the moderator and what is the coolant, and why to use coolant, that we are going to see. But at this moment just keep in mind, in this particular area there in steel vessel basically there is moderator, there is a coolant, there are fuel pins, and there are control rods. So this entire portion is considered as the reactor core. On the previous slide you have seen the reactor core is one component, and that component is this one. Okay, so in the reactor core you can say there are control rods, there are moderator and coolant materials, there are fuel pins. Okay, next to that, as in this particular reaction radioactive isotopes gets generated, okay, or some radiations get generated, and at the same time there is a huge amount of energy. So to protect the user from that energy, from that radiations, the entire system is kept in a control shell, or a cement kind of material is put over the entire chamber. Okay, which will restrict the flow of radiations into the environment. So that is one thing that one should do in the nuclear reactor. So that thing is the entire reactor core and whatever are the other components that are inside this particular control shell. Okay, next to that, as we need to use the coolant material, because you know that in nuclear fission reaction high amount of energy gets generated, high amount of nuclear energy, and due to that nuclear energy high amount of heat will be there. So to protect the internal components of this nuclear reactor and to protect the operating person, so we need to have the cooling of the entire environment. So to pump that coolant or to pump the water through the entire area, a pump is required. So that pump you can see over here. Now in this reaction, whatever is the energy generated, due to that energy what will happen, in this area you can see the water is there. So water vapors get generated. So that water vapors are basically used to move the turbine, and that's why you can see the arrangement is done water to turbines and water from turbines. So from turbines water is inserted into this area, steam is generated, and that steam is moved towards the turbine to have the rotation. And you people know, when the rotation of turbines will take place, it will generate the electricity. That is one area of electricity generation. So basically the main purpose to use the nuclear reactor is to have generation of electricity. Okay, so this is the construction diagram for the nuclear reactor. Okay, just a second. Is there any doubt up to this? Yes, is there any doubt up to this? So we have seen the steel vessel is considered as the nuclear reactor core, and that is the reactor core is the main part where the actual nuclear fission reaction takes place. And to occur the nuclear fission reaction, of course, we know there is need of some radioactive elements. Heavier nuclei are required for that purpose, so that fuel pins are used inside the reactor core to have the nuclear fission. Okay, so the fuel bearing region in the nuclear reactor is known as reactor core. And basically in this nuclear reaction, whenever the reaction takes place, there will be generation of high amount of energy or high amount of heat is generated inside the reactor core. Okay, so this we have seen inside the core, which is a cylindrical shape, and in that the uranium, rods of uranium or any radioactive elements are placed. Okay, and along with that uranium rods, there are further components which are nothing but the moderator, control rods and cooling material. Okay, next to that, another one component which is used inside the reactor core, that is nothing but the reactor reflector. So whenever in a nuclear fission reaction the neutrons are generated, that neutrons are having high amount of energy, so there are chances that neutrons will penetrate the steel vessel and they will go outside the reactor core. But in order to have the further nuclear fission reaction, we want that nuclear reactors inside the core. So for that purpose the reactor reflector is used. So the region surrounding the reactor core is known as reactor reflector. So here you can see whatever is the steel vessel, so that steel vessel is basically a reactor reflector, and its main function is to reflect back some of neutrons that leak out from the surface of reactor core. Okay, and again some kinds of material are used for that purpose to stop the leakage of neutrons. Okay, another thing, most important thing, that is reactor moderator. So basically whenever this nuclear fission chain reaction takes place or nuclear fission reaction takes place, we know in the input there will be one neutron. That neutron upon interaction with heavier nuclei will split up into lighter nuclei and 3 neutrons will get generated. Now whatever are the neutrons generated in the fission reaction, they are having high amount of energy. That energy will range in the mega electron volt, and if the neutrons are having high amount of energy, then that neutrons are having very less probability that they will fission another uranium nuclei. Okay, so if you are having any confusion in this particular sentence, you may ask, see, whatever are the neutrons generated in nuclear fission reaction, they are having high energy, and that energy is not appropriate to have the further chain reaction, to have the further fission. And for that purpose, whatever are the neutrons generated in fission reaction, they are known as fast neutrons due to their high amount of energy. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to slow down that fast neutrons so that they will take part in the nuclear fission reaction. Okay, so for that reactor moderators are used, and that reactor moderators, they are having capability to slow down the fast moving electrons. And basically what materials you can use as a reactor moderator, so ordinary water or heavy water or graphite or beryllium oxide, these are the moderators which one can use inside the reactor core. Okay, the best moderator is nothing but the heavy water. So most probably heavy water is used in this reactor core to slow down the fast neutron, so that there will be a chain reaction, nuclear fission chain reaction. So may I get to know from your side that what is heavy water? Heavy water means what? Any idea from your side?
H2O.
having more impurities. Pavan, that is not the case. Basically, the simple water, we know its molecular formula is H2O. So whatever water, general purpose water we use, that is having two molecules of hydrogen and one oxygen. That's why the formula is H2O. But if the combination is like this, where deuterium along with oxygen is used, then that combination, or D2O, is known as the heavy water. Okay, so that heavy water is used as a moderator, or that one is known as the best moderator for the nuclear reactor. Okay, yes, Kudus and Farhan has mentioned the same thing. D2O is the heavy water. Next, as I said, whenever nuclear fission reaction takes place, there will be high amount of energy. If the energy is quite huge, as you know, because in nuclear weapons, that energy is used for the destruction kind of things. So that high amount of energy, it should not cause any effect to the nuclear fission reaction which is taking place into the reactor core, and there should not be any harm of that reaction to the user who is handling that reactor. So to have that balance of energy, one need to use the reactor coolant. Okay, so reactor coolant, any kinds of coolant material is moved or is pumped over the reactor core. Okay, so to absorb the energy generated in the fission reaction. Okay, so that may be a liquid or gas. So you people know, like liquid nitrogen or liquid helium, these are the highly cooling material. So any such kind of materials can be used as a coolant for the reactor core. Okay, whenever one need to use the coolant material, one need to see that the characteristics of that material. Suppose you want to use the, say, liquid nitrogen, so one need to see what is the boiling point of that particular material, what is the specific heat of that material, is that material is easy to pump, because here in reactor, nuclear reactor, we need to circulate that coolant over the entire reactor. Okay, so pumping is necessary. But if that material is highly dense, or if you can't pump that material, then that is not appropriate one to use into the device. Okay, another important thing is the price of that material, because here if you want to run the reactor core, then for a single run high amount of coolant material is required, and if the price of that material is very high, then you can't use in a large amount. Or if you are using that high priced material, then of course the entire cost of that energy generated will be high. So to avoid that, one need to see what is the price of that coolant. Then another important thing, that material should be chemically stable, because if that coolant material itself is taking part in any chemical reaction, of course the cooling purpose will not be there. So to protect the device from extra chemical reaction, one need to see the chemical stability of the coolant material. Okay, so by seeing all these properties with respect to any material, the selection of reactor coolant can be done. Okay, so this is the case for the reactor coolant. And then the basic aim, whatever we have mentioned, why to use nuclear reactor, is to generate the electricity. So whatever energy is generated into the reactor core, that energy is converted into the electricity, and that electricity one can use for various kinds of applications. Okay, so energy generation is the main thing as far as this nuclear reactor is concerned. Okay, so related to this, of course, we have seen the theoretical part, but to have the actual imagination of the working of nuclear reactor, I'm having one video, so I'll play that video so that you will get to know how the processes takes place inside the nuclear reactor. Just a second. Just confirm, of course there will be ad because I am playing this video directly through YouTube. So just confirm that you are getting the voice. Okay, just a second. Is the voice clear to you? Are you getting some voice of the video?
Como no lo había hecho nunca. Y con él.
Okay. Money has sound. Okay. Actually, yesterday I have tried, but that video is not getting downloaded at my end. So I thought I'll play it directly through YouTube, but might be it is creating some kinds of network issues. So I need to reload the page.
Neutrons available at any nuclear reactor. In this video, we're going to learn about the nuclear reactor. Nuclear reactors are the modern-day devices extensively used for power generation, as the traditional fossil fuels like coal are at the breach of extinction. A nuclear reactor is the source of intense heat, which is in turn used for generation of power in nuclear power stations. Its mechanism is similar to that of a furnace in a steam generator. The steam is used to drive the turbines of the electric generator system. A nuclear reactor consists of three crucial components: fuel elements, moderator, and control rods. Fuel elements come usually in the shape of thin rods of about 1 centimeter in diameter and contain fissionable nuclei like uranium-235 or uranium-238. These rods vary in number according to the size of the reactor. In large power reactors, thousands of fuel elements are placed close to each other. This region where these fuel elements are placed is called the reactor core. These fuel elements are normally immersed in water, which acts as a moderator. The objective of a moderator is to slow down the energy neutrons in a nuclear reactor, which are produced during the nuclear fission process by the fuel elements. Thermal neutrons, which are the neutrons with energy of about 0.04 electron volts, are capable of producing fission reaction with uranium-235. During the fission reaction process, new neutrons are given out, which have energies of about 1 MeV. This is 1 mega electron volts. These neutrons typically escape from participating in another fission process, as they are accompanied by enormous energy release. In fact, the probability of these neutrons produce another fission reaction is 500 times less than that compared to a thermal neutron. This is where a moderator is extremely useful. Moderators have the capability to slow down, or in other words, moderate, the speeds of these high-energy neutrons so that they can in turn be used for a chain reaction to trigger multiple fission reactions of other uranium-235 nuclei. Commonly, ordinary or heavy water is used as a moderator in nuclear reactors because of the deuterons present in them, which are capable of slowing down the neutron speed. Water molecules in the moderator are useful in slowing down the high-energy neutrons, which leave the fuel element after nuclear fission. These high-energy neutrons collide with water molecules, thereby losing out on some energy with every collision and therefore slowing down substantially. A new fission reaction can now be triggered using this slow neutron by striking it with a fuel element. The third and most prominent part of a nuclear reactor are the control rods. In order to get a steady output of energy from the nuclear reactor, every single fission reaction should trigger another fission reaction and ensure the availability of spare neutrons released to trigger the chain reactions. By controlling the number of spare neutrons available at any given time, the rate of nuclear fission chain reactions can be controlled. This control on the fission reaction can be maintained using control rods. The main function of the control rods is to absorb any excess or spare neutron in the moderator in order to prevent any further fission reactions. Usually, such control rods are made of boron or cadmium. To increase the rate of fission reactions, these rods can be removed from the moderator. A steady output of energy can thus be maintained by inserting or removing the control rods in the nuclear reactor. Now that we know the components of a nuclear reactor, let's understand the working of a nuclear reactor. It's usually enclosed in a shield made of thick concrete walls. It consists of a reactor core, pump, and heat exchanger. The reactor core and pump are placed in contact with the water, which is usually the heat exchanger in these reactors. Due to the enormous amount of heat released during the fusion reaction, the surrounding water gets heated up and changes to steam, which is in turn used to turn the turbines. So, huge heat energy gets converted into electrical energy. Water is continuously flown in and out of the nuclear reactor using the pump. So, a nuclear reactor successfully generates nuclear energy from fission reactions.
So I'll paste this particular link in the chat box so that if you want to see the video again, you may. Okay, just a second. So, is there any doubt up to this? Is there any doubt up to this?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so up to this moment we have completed the nuclear fission reaction, and as I mentioned at the start, we have to understand two nuclear reactions over here. One, we have already completed nuclear fission, another one is nuclear fusion. Okay, so at the start of this only we have discussed what is the meaning of the term fusion. Fusion means combination. So in opposite to nuclear fission reaction, nuclear fusion reaction will be there. In nuclear fission, we have seen there is a splitting of heavier nuclei. In case of nuclear fusion, there will be combination of two lighter nuclei. Okay, so the process in which two lighter nuclei are combined with each other to form a heavier and stable nucleus, so that process is known as nuclear fusion reaction. Okay, so if you want to compare in between these two reactions, in nuclear fission there is a splitting of heavier nuclei. In fusion there will be a combination of two lighter nuclei. Okay, so here basically if two lighter nuclei are there, then they are getting combined, and due to that combination, of course there will be some energy, so that energy is termed as the nuclear energy. Here one condition is there, that in order to have the nuclear fission of two lighter nuclei, of course you need to put some parameters. Okay, so that parameters are you need to apply high amount of energy, and high amount of pressure should be there on the lighter nuclei, because what we are saying that two lighter nuclei, they are going to fuse together. Okay, Now, if you people can recall the atomic structure, then we know in any atom there will be one nuclei. In nuclei there are protons and neutrons. What is the charge on the protons? What is the charge on the protons?
Positive, ma'am.
Positive. And neutrons?
It's neutral.
It's neutral. So ultimately whatever is the nuclei, that will be positively charged due to the protons which are present in the nucleus. Okay. So one positive charge, if you want to combine with another positive charge, as we are saying, there will be a combination of two nuclei. So two nuclei, of course, they will have the positive charges, and basically we know the principle that there will be a repulsion in between the same kind of charges, and there will be attraction in between the opposite kind of charges. Okay, but here we want to combine same amount of charges, and by the natural tendency they will try to repel each other. Okay, so that is the case. In actual, they will try to repel each other, but our aim is to have the combination of that two. So to have that combination, you need to apply high amount of energy to the nuclei which are there for the combination, and at the same time they should be under high pressure. Okay, so if that two conditions are there, then only you can have the combination of two lighter nuclei. So basically, if you want to see the example of nuclear fusion reaction, then sun is the most appropriate example where the nuclear fusion reaction takes place in actual. Okay, so inside the sun's core, basically the hydrogen atom is getting converted into helium atom, and due to that conversion there will be generation of energy. That energy we termed as the solar energy. Okay, so ultimately in the sun's core there is the nuclear fusion reaction which is taking place. Okay, so here the one example is provided on the screen. Two deuterions after combination are producing the helium. So you can say this is nothing but the example of nuclear fusion reaction. Okay, so one proton with another proton in combination produces deuteron, then deuteron upon combination with hydrogen produces helium isotope. By the combination of two helium isotopes, one can generate the helium isotope. So that is the nuclear fusion reaction. Okay, and of course in nuclear fusion reaction also energy is generated, and that energy is due to the mass defect. Okay, so as like nuclear fusion reaction, there will be a energy, but here what is the case? You need to apply energy in the input itself. Okay, you are applying energy in the input, and then of course at the output you will get another energy. Okay, so that things are there in nuclear fusion. Such kind of conditions we have not seen, but to occur the nuclear fusion reaction, you need to apply the energy, and you need to maintain the high pressure for the nuclei which are taking part in the reaction. Okay, so this is in short what is nuclear fusion reaction, how that fusion reaction is there, how the hydrogen is getting converted into helium. For that we are going to see the processes in detail, but at this particular point some points are provided on the screen where you can see the comparison in between the nuclear fission and nuclear fusion reaction. I'll give you 2 minutes to read out all these points which are there on the screen. Basically the definition of that two is provided in the first point. Fission is splitting of large nuclei into smaller ones, whereas fusion is nothing but the combination of two lighter nuclei which are forming the larger nuclei. Okay, so natural occurrence of the process. Fission reaction does not normally takes place in the nature. We need to have the nuclear reactor for that purpose, And fusion reaction, of course, that is naturally occurring process, and that can be observed in the various stars, for example sun. Okay. Another thing, that byproducts of the reaction, in fusion reactions many highly radioactive particles are generated. In case of nuclear fusion reaction, few radioactive particles are produced, but if a fusion trigger is used, then radioactive particles will result from that. Okay. And basically one can say that if you search on the Google or YouTube, you will see that the energy generated in the nuclear fusion reaction, that is termed as the clean energy, because whatever are the radioactive particles generated, they are very small amount as compared to nuclear fusion reaction. But you can't see that in a particular laboratory nuclear fusion is going on, because whatever conditions I have mentioned, to have that condition, difficulty is there. You can't have that amount of temperature, or you can't apply that amount of pressure in a real time, which is actually there inside the sun's core. So that conditions at the laboratory level are not possible, and that's why we are not having the nuclear reactors which are using the nuclear fusion reaction. Okay. So have this clarification. Nuclear fusion is not possible at this particular moment in the laboratory, and that's why we are not having any nuclear reactor which is using nuclear fusion reaction. Of course, researchers and scientists are trying to have that reaction at the laboratory level, but whatever conditions required for that, they are very difficult to have. Okay. Then the energy requirement, if the splitting is there, then very small amount of energy is required for that, and of course there is no any extra arrangement for that. But in order to have the nuclear fusion reaction, high energy we need to apply, so that it will compensate the electrostatic repulsion. Okay. So to overcome the repulsion in between two positive nuclei, we need to apply high amount of energy, so that combination will be possible. Okay. Energy released in case of nuclear fusion reaction is less than the nuclear energy which is generated in the fusion reaction. Nuclear fusion reaction gives you high amount of energy. Okay. So nuclear weapons we can have with the help of nuclear fusion reaction. With the help of nuclear fusion reaction also we can have the nuclear weapons, but that is a difficult job. Okay. So like this you can see certain points are associated with each and every reaction. So that I have mentioned. Is there any doubt up to this?
No, ma'am.
So if no doubts are there, then I think only 1 minute is remained. So I'll stop the presentation.